welcome to your Thursday show, Geography. I am Looney. That's Kamala.
Hi guys, welcome back. Another exciting episode of Geography, and today it's Mapwork, settlement geography.
Oh wow, I didn't even need to ask you, just like, hi guys. Oh, well done, Kamala. How are you?
I'm well, thanks. Have you missed me?
Yes, I have actually.
I have missed you too.
Aww. And Kamlin, guys, we're not alone today. We have some special guests in studio with us. Hello.
Hi, Looney.
How are you guys doing?
I'm fine, and you?
I'm good, thanks. So tell me about yourselves. Why are you guys here? Where you go to school? What your names are and everything.
My name is Tebogo Tipe. I'm from Esogwazi Secondary School in the Val. I'm here because I love geography.
Oh, okay.
My name is Brett Machovani. I'm from the same school as he's from, and I'm here because I love geography.
All right, cool. Guys, I hope you also enjoy the show. Mindsetters, I hope you enjoy with the Mindsetters in studio as well. Remember to hit us up on Facebook, on facebook.com/LearnExtra. Our Twitter handle is @LearnExtra. If you need any show notes, videos, and schedules, past papers, and everything, all you need to do is go to learn.mindset.co.za and you'll get everything there because it's quite user-friendly. Click, you look for stuff, you click, 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 and you'll get your notes and your videos. It's very easy, guys. That's all you need to do on our website. Remember, our show is proudly brought to you by Macmillan, so thank you very much, Macmillan, for sponsoring our show. With that said, Cameron.
Thanks, Looney. And guys, today, settlement geography. So all you guys in the Sedibeng West District of the Vaal region, Esogwazi Secondary School, today we're doing settlement geography on Mapwork. And I hope you're going to pay attention carefully because these are the useful hints and tips that we're going to give you to ensure that you get the best possible result in paper 2. Let's look at what we've got for you today. In today's lesson, we will be doing the following. We will be applying skills in map reading to determine land use. And remember guys, land use is a settlement concept, how the land is used. We will also be looking at the following, trying to determine the site and situation on topographical maps. Remember, when we refer to the site of the settlement, we are referring to the exact piece of land. When we refer to the situation of a settlement, we are referring to the settlement in relation to the surrounding environment. And these aspects of theory will come into play on a map. And I hope you are familiar with these concepts because you should know that paper 1 will be followed by paper 2, and all the theoretical knowledge that you've studied from paper 1 will be used to apply in paper 2. Let's go further. We will further sample questions to help you practice and apply key skills in settlement geography. And of course, in every lesson, we're going to give you useful hints and tips that you should be remembering when answering questions and assessment tasks, especially for paper 2. But before we begin, let's look at our challenge question today. And our challenge question goes as follows. Grid referencing, determine the alphanumeric grid of the map to the south of 3325 DC Port Elizabeth. So today's challenge question is focusing on grid referencing with specific reference to map index. Remember, alphanumeric, your letters, alpha, your numbers, numeric. What we will be asking you to do is to find the map to the south of this particular map. The application type of activity you're looking at here is using map indexes to calculate the map to the south. Let's go straight to today's lesson and try and understand what we need to. Note the following. In any lesson on map work, you should note, you have to be familiar with the theory section of geography curriculum to score good marks in your practical exam. All theoretical concepts are tested, and remember, when we use a map, we draw from these theoretical concepts to apply them in a use of a map. Let's look further. We look for the following: the location for a map to show you the position of the topographical map in relation to South Africa. Any good examination, before you begin, you should be able to determine where the particular topographical map lies in South Africa. Normally, in your paper 2, you will be given a map of South Africa, and you will be given the location of where that particular map is. Today, Toboko, Beth, and I will be working with the map of Harrismith, the topographical map of Harrismith. And what I'd like you to do, guys, is take out your topographical maps of Harrismith and get ready as we go further into interpreting how settlement geography impacts on our map work. Remember the following. You should know your conventional symbols. From grade 10, you've been working with conventional symbols. These are the symbols used on any topographical map. They help you better identify all aspects that are contained in a topographical map. Further to that, we will be assisting you to understand the area covered by the topographical map when using these conventional signs. We survey the map first before looking at the questions. Now, this is a useful hint and tip, especially when answering map work. What I suggest you do is open up your maps and gauge from the map what type of land use is this particular map or mapped region covering, especially if you know your colors. Remember, blue generally signifies all water features and fluvial processes in a topographical map. And generally, your greens signify cultivated or woodland areas. Now, these are key concepts which you should have mastered, especially at the grade 12 level. Let's look closely at settlement geography and how we apply settlement geography in map work. We're looking at the interpretation of settlements on a map. We look for evidence, firstly, of drought or erosion, especially when it comes to features which might indicate rural-urban migration. Rural-urban migration, yes, Toboko, what do you understand by this concept?
The rural-urban migration is when the people in the rural-urban areas move from them to the urban areas for jobs and for good
Excellent.
life.
And we refer to these factors as push and pull factors. Now, guys, remember, if there is evidence of soil erosion, especially in drought-stricken areas of South Africa, generally there is movement. And when we see soil erosion on a topographical map, we should know that that area cannot be cultivated, as large parts of South Africa, especially rural settlements, depend on the land for their survival. When soil erosion is predominant on any topographical map, we should note that that area cannot be cultivated, and hence rural-urban migration occurs in these drought-stricken or soil-eroded areas. If there are large informal settlements around a town, this might be evidence of a large population of poor migrants from rural areas or neighboring countries. Now, generally the trend in South Africa is the development of informal settlements where, especially in and around urban areas, these informal settlements generally result because the population increase due to rural-urban migration around these cities means that the gray areas on the map show these particular areas. If we look further, the size of residential areas may indicate the economic status of the population. Now, as we've been discussing earlier in earlier episodes, especially with regard to the gray areas on the map, the size of the residential areas can help you to determine whether it's a low, middle, or high income area. When you're surveying these maps, you should be able to determine by the size of the streets, as we will do in our activities today. Note the following. Large numbers of small buildings are packed tightly together and are usually associated with the lower income groups, whereas larger residential stands with many open spaces indicate higher income groups. What we should note is the abundance of areas like golf courses, as well as an example, recreational areas, mean, yes, Beth, higher income residential areas. Would we find these kinds of recreational areas in low income areas?
No.
No, of course not. And that is why the land values actually decrease, because of these different types of land uses missing. If we go further, you will often be asked, and especially in your exam, to describe a settlement shape. It is linear along a road, or star-shaped when the town is at the center of converging roads or railway lines. So, Toboko, what must we remember when there's a river, a road, or a railway line? What type of shape?
The linear shape or the star shaped.
Good. And remember, your linear shaped settlements generally occur on these kinds of features. Any feature that is associated with a linear shape forms a linear settlement. Let's go further. You need to be able to identify and comment on different street patterns. Are you aware of any street patterns, Beth?
We have a grid iron.
Excellent. A gridiron street pattern in South Africa is one of the most common in most urban land uses. And that gridiron street pattern is predominant, especially in our cities like Johannesburg, Cape Town, and Durban. As we will do activities, you will be able to see on topographical maps what the gridiron street pattern looks like. Further to that, regular street patterns usually indicate planned settlements. Now this is very important. When we're looking at a gridiron or a rectangular street pattern, these are regular street patterns. When it's unplanned, it means there's haphazard planning in that particular urban settlement, which means that there is an irregular shape on the topographical map. Let's go further. The gridiron street pattern is associated with many formal settlements in South Africa. As we've indicated, our three major cities, and we can include the Port Elizabeth. So it's Durban, Johannesburg, Cape Town, as well as Port Elizabeth, all predominantly with a gridiron street pattern. Our next point, informal settlements often show an irregular street pattern because they have not been formally planned. Hence the term informal settlement. Because of no formal planning, we refer to it as informal settlements. And this is largely dictated by the type of street patterns that exist in these informal settlements. Remember, sometimes you may be asked if an area is part of the rural-urban fringe. The rural-urban fringe of the city. Yes, Toboko, what do you understand by the rural-urban fringe?
The rural-urban fringe is the outskirts of the city.
Excellent. And when we refer to the rural-urban fringe, we look at in settlements on a map the specific type of land uses that are found in the rural-urban fringe. And note the following. These are those land uses that occupy and need a larger space. Land use like airports, golf courses, and cemeteries. Any other ones, guys? You think I've covered them all?
Yeah.
Yes, and these are land uses that occupy larger areas, and therefore they are located in the rural-urban fringe. Note the following. The rural-urban fringe is indicated by the presence of golf courses, airports, some cultivated area, major highways, and open spaces outside a town. In South Africa, despite our democracy, evidence of apartheid planning still exists if there is a residential suburb out of the town with small blocks. So what we will find in South Africa, especially on a topographical map, is the evidence of urban planning in a particular area. But outside that urban area, we will find haphazard blocks, which means there is an evidence of apartheid planning outside the CBD of that particular area. These are usually separated from larger settlements by physical barriers such as rivers, main roads, railways, or industrial areas. These are what we commonly refer to as buffer zones. During apartheid planning, what had happened was the CBD became the central location of urban development. And as a result, buffer zones were created for other residential areas to keep the apartheid planning in place. You may be asked to describe the challenges facing people in these types of settlements. Now, we should know the following. In most of these settlements in and around South Africa, there are service delivery protests. This is because of the poor planning in the provision of infrastructure. Now note the following. We are able to determine this by looking on a topographical map, and we should be able to elicit from the planning the type of problems that are experienced in these type of settlements. And generally, it comes to service delivery problems, like the provision of water, the provision of better sanitation. And these are the things that you must be able to see when you see poorly planned settlements. Further on, people tend to settle close to rivers and roads, fertile soil on flat land, and near mineral resources. The reason for these natural resources being close to settlements is due to employment. Most settlements result because of employment opportunities in and around the urban area. And with that, guys, we've come to the end of the summary. When you come back, we're going to do the activity together with Toboko and Beth, and hopefully you've got your Harrismith maps and you're ready to go ahead. How's that, Looney?
Thank you, Cameron. Mindsetters, let's take a very quick break and we'll see you straight after this. Welcome back, guys, from that break. Quick shout out goes out to Princess Maluleke. You have won yourself this awesome Casio calculator. Congratulations to you. Cameron.
Well done, Princess. Hopefully you're doing geography and you're going to use that calculator when you're performing your Mapwork activities. And talking about activities, we're working with the map of Harrismith. And Toboko and Beth are going to help me today in answering these questions that you have accessed already. And let's try and get them right, especially when it comes to the interpretation of settlement geography with Mapwork. Let's look at question 1. It says, refer to the topographical map of Harrismith. Question 1. Suggest possible reasons why the farmer established his farmhouse at Spes Bona in E3. Now what we've done, guys, is taken a section of the map so that you can clearly see what aspects we're talking about. And if you look at it, I'm going to look at the reasons for this question. Now, when looking at the map, there's the area that covers Spes Bona. Remember, that is a particular area that is being cultivated, and because it's given a name, immediately we should realize that this type of farming is commercial farming. Okay, and I want you to look at the possible options here and choose one. And I'm going to get to Boko to answer this one. Choose one of the following answers which best describes Spes Bona. There is water available from Black Spruit. Let's go back to the map and note the Black Spruit River runs, and it's a non-perennial river because it has broken blue lines. There is flat land for cultivation. If I look at the map again, note the absence of brown lines. There is contour lines on this map, but they're very far apart. When contour lines are far apart, you should remember these are gentle slopes, which makes cultivation possible. And if we look further on, it is close to a road for accessibility. So looking back at this particular map, there's a road. And this particular road, because it's red, is a national road. So Toboko, looking at the options given, and we've also got D, which is all of the above. Which is the possible answer?
The possible answer is D.
And what did you get, Beth?
D.
And Esokwazi learners are great because all of the above factors mean that this particular area is possible for Spes Nova to have cultivation because of all the factors we have been able to identify. Let's go further to our next question. Explain why the railway in G2, and if you're looking at your maps, the block reference is G2, does not follow the road route in D3. Now, if you look at the maps, guys, have you located the position of this particular map? Yes. G2 and D3. Now, let's look at the options. Roads are easily built through and around the mountains. Looking at the next option, railway lines do not follow steep gradients. Railway lines follow the straightest possible route. And D, all of the above. What do you think, Beth?
I think it's D.
All of the above.
Yes.
Toboko?
D is it.
Are these guys copying? I wonder. But guys, that is correct. All of the above. Because if you note the following, when we're looking at a road on a topographical map, it generally can follow a winding path. But when we look at a railway line, remember, it is constructed on the straightest possible path. And rather than going through a mountain where you build a tunnel, railways are generally built around a mountain. But in some cases, where the mountain does not allow accessibility, tunnels are created. And therefore, all of the above is the correct answer in this particular question. Let's look at the next question. And Toboko, you're going to do this one. Identify the land use in the green shaded area in block C3. They've been looking at block C3, and this is what we've taken out, an extract of block C3. We see rows of trees. I'm going to go a bit up there. There's my row of trees, and abundantly flowing in that particular area. Cultivated land. Let's note the following. Cultivated areas, Kings Hill or a forested area, and all of the above. Toboko, what did you get for this one?
When you refer to your map, you will see that the reference clear shows that this green part is the forested area, which means the possible answer is C.
And Beth, what did you get?
C.
C. Are these guys brilliant or what? Both are correct. The dominant cultivation in this particular area is actually the plantation or the forested area. And if you look at the block reference, it refers to that particular area. Well done, guys. And let's go to the next one. Identify a challenge, for rural inhabitants in the huts around the farm Walton in block G4 could experience. So when we're looking at this particular map, we're looking at the area of Walton. Now guys, I want you to look closely at this particular segment. When you see these particular blocks in this particular fashion, you should be able to know that this is a rural settlement. And the rural settlement is found as an area called Walton. Now, particular people living in this area may have challenges, but those challenges are not going to be written on a topographical map. You'll have to look for the type of evidence that would suggest to you the type of challenges that these people could experience. Now, when looking at this particular block, I look at the following options. Great distances to walk to the urban area to access goods and services. Upon looking at this block, there is no evidence of roads, and that means that access to transportation networks is very limited. If I look at this particular settlement, there is only the other road, and this other road links to the railway line. So access to transportation facilities is very limited to the people living in Walton, because there's no national or main roads that allow access to the urban areas. If we look further on, there is no schools close by. Now, Toboko, you tell me, how do we see schools on a topographical map?
When you refer to a reference on the map, you will see that the, where is it? Yeah, here is it. On your,
Topographical map,
on the topographical, yes. They represent the school with a block and an letter S.
Good, excellent. Now, all different types of buildings, like police stations, post offices, schools, and hospitals, have particular conventional symbols on a topographical map. And if I look at this particular block, I don't find any schools. I don't find any recreational facilities. So what are the challenges? There is a lack of schools. Now imagine people living in Walton, especially the children who have to go to school. There are no schools, and they are forced to travel longer distances to get to schools. What about police stations? areas of crime. The access is limited, and that simply means that we have to identify these as challenges. The other, as per option C, is only accessible mode of transport is rail. So, what's my correct answer, guys?
D.
D.
Of course, all of the above. These are the challenges. Now note, these challenges were not written on the topographical map. This is what we call analysis and interpretation. Your ability to use, like Tomoko correctly did, the conventional symbols on your map to identify what is not available. And I hope you're getting the picture, guys, because these are answers that you need to be able to interpret by merely looking at the topographical map. Let's move on to the next question. Question number 5 is as follows. Classify the type of settlement found in Arcadia. Now we've got an extract of Arcadia from the map of Harrismith, and you'll look at the settlement and note the following. There's Arcadia. Let's look what options are given. Dispersed or isolated settlement, nucleated settlement, haphazard, or none of the above. Now when I'm looking at this particular section of the map, I note that this particular settlement is quite spread out. So Beth, what is my answer?
Dispersed.
Dispersed, excellent. What you should remember is the following. You should be able to identify either a nucleation of buildings or a dispersion of buildings. We refer to this as dispersed settlements or nucleated settlements. And your ability to identify these buildings on a map will determine whether you get the correct answer. So note, where there's a spreading of buildings, it is dispersed. Where there's a closely knit or cluster, we refer to it as nucleated. Let's move on to the next question. In question 6, it asks us to identify the street pattern evident in block B1. We've taken out an extract of block B1 and note the following on this particular section of the map. The map shows you a block across and streets going across. What does it show you? A grid. This is what we call the grid iron street pattern. And note the intersection of these roads are perfectly at 90 degrees and they resemble a grid iron street pattern. So let's look at it. The radial street pattern, obviously not. What you should remember is in the radial street pattern, it forms a center and the streets radiate outwards. The stellar or star-shaped pattern. This particular pattern is most common not in South Africa, but in countries, in cities in Europe. The stellar or star-shaped pattern is very common. In South Africa, we've got a dominating grid iron street pattern. And this is the possible pattern that we see in this particular area of the map. Note, when we see the grid iron street pattern, to the east of this particular area, you'll note that there is an abundance of unplanning. This simply means that the street pattern that developed after this particular area is much newer and therefore unplanned. And therefore you find that these particular areas, Berkshire as well as Kings Hill in this example, occurred after the town of Harrismith. So what you should remember is the grid iron street pattern is a much older street pattern. And when we see the grid iron street pattern, we know this is where the settlement started. Okay, let's move on to the next one. And here we've got a good theoretical question from urban geography. Harrismith is a central place town. What is a central place town? Toboko?
My possible answer is A.
And what did you get, Beth?
A.
Both of you got A. A place that provides goods and services to the surrounding areas. Why, Toboko, can't it be the exact piece of land?
The exact piece of land is defined as site.
Excellent. And Beth, why can't it be the position of a town in relation to the natural and social factors?
Because it's not about the social factors, but a place that provides services to the rural people.
Excellent. So guys, remember, a central place, like it says, is a place that provides goods and services to the surrounding rural areas. The other two concepts, B as well as C, refer to site and situation. Note that. Here we're dealing with a central place. Let's look at the next question. And now we're still with the topographical map of Harrismith. The possible commercial crop grown in Harrismith is A, sugarcane, B, maize, C, citrus, or D, none of the above. Now guys, remember the following. Any topographical map is drawn from a particular region in South Africa. Depending on the region it falls in will determine the type of crop that is grown in that region. So when we're looking at the position of Harrismith, which is in northern KwaZulu-Natal, specifically in the Free State province, you should know there's a dominance of grain farming. When we're looking at the Western Cape region, it is citrus farming. And on the east coast belt of KwaZulu-Natal, you have a dominance of sugarcane farming. So Beth, what do you think it is?
Maize.
Maize.
Yes.
Saboko?
A.
A, sugarcane.
Yes.
Now remember, sugarcane is on the east coast, and you are partially correct. However, only along coastal areas will the sugarcane be planted or cultivated. The correct answer is correct, Beth. Maize. And maize is the principal product in the central region of South Africa. And this can also include grain farming. So my correct answer is maize. Let's look at the next one. Name the settlement shape along the river in C3. Now when we're looking at this particular map, we note that there is settlements along the river. There's my river in this particular area. And note the question. Name the settlement shape. Is it linear, radial, haphazard, or none of the above? When looking at this particular map, there's my river. However, the section that has been extracted largely deals with geomorphological principles. So the correct answer in this particular example was linear settlement. But I'm going to stay on this particular extract to determine the following with you. As geomorphology, remember, when we see this type of river system, this is what we call a braided stream. What you'll notice is that sand islands exist between the river system. And in geomorphology, you'll be asked the types of questions to identify the geomorphological feature along the river system. And in this particular example, note it is a braided stream. And you can clearly see the sand island areas that occur whilst the river flows in between. I hope you're understanding this, guys. It is not directly linked with settlement, but it is geomorphology that is tested in your map work. Let's go to the next example. Classify the type of farming in C3. And when we look at the map, Toboko, what do you think it is?
I think it is commercial farming.
And Beth?
Commercial farming. Because
Why would
they
you
have
say
maize.
commercial farming, Toboko?
Because when a farm is commercial, it's given a name.
Excellent. Remember, when a farm is commercial, it is given a name. A name on a topographical map suggests that this particular type of farming is commercial. Note, commercial farmers farm for profits, and they occupy large expanses of land. So in this particular example, you'll note that there's particular farm boundaries in this area. There's also our braided stream. There's areas of trees and plantations. Note the furrow. And this immediately suggests to us that commercial farming is the predominant type of farming in this area. Note, in rural areas, especially your outlying areas, subsistence, where the farmers farm for survival. And generally in settlement geography, these are the two concepts that you will need to understand. When you come to economic geography, you're going to learn more about large-scale and small-scale farmers. But in settlement geography, you must be able to distinguish, especially on a map, the difference between commercial as well as subsistence farming. If we go further, note, the farms have been given names as well as evidence of furrows along the route to these particular farming areas. Let's go to the next question. Again, we've got the topographical map of Parys. And Parys, again, is near our honored guests today. It's in the south of Johannesburg, on the border between Gauteng as well as the Free State. Let's look at the functional areas. Guys, you got your maps? Okay, so we're going to look at the functional land use in Pistorius Rust. And we try to again identify the type of farming that occurs in this particular map. Is it commercial or subsistence? Now, when we look at this particular extract, we note that there's an abundance of reservoirs in this map, as well as there's being perennial and non-perennial rivers. We note there are windmills, and these extract water from the ground. All this points to commercial farming. And if you look at this particular name of the farm, yes, Toboko?
Agriculture. C.
Good. And we look at the following. Pistorius Rust is a commercial farm and the predominant activity is agriculture. Well done. Let's go to the next map. Identify the municipal land use in the rural-urban fringe. Now, as we've discussed earlier, the rural-urban fringe, as Toboko and Beth accurately said, is found on the outskirts of the CBD. And this land use requires larger tracts of land to be able to accommodate land uses like, yes, cemeteries, golf courses, and airports. Let's look at this particular map. And when I look at the map, there's my urban area. Note in the extract, the urban area is covered by the gray areas. I note that it has streets running both horizontally as well as vertically across each other. But note the land use in the southeast corner. And Toboko, you want to tell me what land use is that?
Yes. That's symmetry.
Do you agree, Beth?
Yes.
Where did you find this particular symbol?
When you use your map reference, below your map you find references there, and that sign stands for symmetries.
Excellent. So what is the key, guys? Like Toboko and Beth are doing, you've got to constantly refer to your conventional symbols to identify what is that particular land use. And correctly, the land use is a cemetery. And with that, guys, I think we all deserve a break. Let's put our maps of Harrismith away and get the maps of Parys out so we can start answering the questions. Looney?
All right. Mindsetters, I hope you have your maps and you're taking them out and you're checking out the notes. But let's take a very quick break and we'll see you straight after this. Welcome back, guys, from that break. Quick reminder, if you want to win yourself a Casio calculator and count stuff and calculate and all of that stuff, it's so fun pressing this. Sorry, guys. All you need to do is enter the Test Yourself competition. How you do that, it is on our Facebook page, facebook.com/learnextra. There is a link there. It's written Test Yourself. Underneath that, there's a link. You click on that link, you fill in all your details, you fill in the answers, click the submit button, and you have until tomorrow at 12 to enter. So if you want to win a Casio calculator and press away during your exams and your tests, enter the Test Yourself competition.
Whilst Looney's having fun with the calculator, guys, make sure you enter because Looney is not going to let that calculator go
Yes.
until she finds a winner. So let's go back, and we've got Esokwazi Secondary School. We've got two of the brightest young minds in Esokwazi. We've got Toboko as well as Beth, and we're moving on with the next activity, which is Parys map. And let's look at the question that is being asked. Why is the R59 an important road network to the town of Parys? And if we look at this particular answer, we've got A, passing traffic will stimulate the economy. B, the town is located near a river. C, creates more traffic problems. D, none of the above. Beth, what did you get?
I'll go with none of the above.
None of the above. Beth says D. And Toboko, what did you get?
I would go with creates more traffic problems.
Creates more traffic problems. What about B? The town is located near a river.
That's true,
not
but
sure.
no,
No.
I don't
We're
think
not
it's the
sure.
right answer.
Not sure.
Yeah.
I would say A. And of course, guys, your teachers are always right. So I'm saying A is the correct answer. So note, passing traffic will stimulate the economy. We are looking at the most important aspect of the R59 as it bypasses the town of Parys. And the correct answer, and for the first time, Beth and Toboko have got it wrong. And look at them, guys, they laughing. It is A, to stimulate the economy, passing traffic. Let's move on to the next one. Question 14. Which type of farmer is dominant in the Parys region? Now, I'm going to go back to get the map. And it's not there, so we're going to work with the maps that Toboko and Beth have. Which type of farmer is dominant in Parys? Guys, what do you think?
I think commercial.
Commercial.
A, commercial.
Excellent. It's always going to be commercial, so long as those farms are named, so long as they occupy large tracts of land. You should note that it is commercial farming. And excellent, the correct answer for that one is A, commercial farming. Let's look at the next one. Again on Parys. Suggest the street pattern of Parys. And we're not going to go to the options, but we're going to go straight to Toboko and Beth. Beth, without looking at the options, what do you think is the street pattern of Parys?
The lines go vertically and horizontally, so I think it's gridiron.
Gridiron. And Toboko?
Gridiron.
Excellent. Note that the lines are crisscrossing each other and they resemble a grid. And because it resembles a grid, it is gridiron street pattern. I'm going to stay on this particular map and note the following. To the east of Parys, we have a urban development or a residential area called Tumaho. And this is a particular type of pattern. What type of pattern do you see there, Toboko?
Unplanned irregular.
Unplanned irregular. Beth?
Unplanned.
Irregular. Are you in agreement with each other?
Yes.
Yes.
Would you further say that what type of income area would this particular area have?
Unplanned means low income.
Unplanned means low income. Do you
Yes, low
agree?
income.
So we find that when there is unplanned or no particular ordered shape on a topographical map, like this particular area, note that there are longer streets as well as shorter streets that are evident on this map, which shows real unplanned types of settlements. We therefore assume that this is an unplanned street pattern, irregular street pattern, and this means that the urban development has just started in a particular area like we see. What should we note further? What type of challenges do exist in this type of settlement? Correct. Service delivery problems, the provision of water, the provision of sanitation, proper roads, access to transport. Now, these are the kind of answers that we will be looking for when you answer this type of question, as opposed to a planned settlement with a grid iron street pattern. Guys, I hope you're getting the concept right. Remember, grid iron versus unplanned or irregular shape. Well done, guys. And the correct answer there is A, grid iron. Both of you got it right. So let's look at the next one. Question 16. What type of residential settlement is that particular area, and what do we note? We've already established that this is a low-income settlement. And why has it been a low-income settlement? Because of the type of street pattern.
patterns.
So guys, are you seeing this picture? Are you understanding what it is and what it requires you when it comes to interpretation? You've got to look beyond the map. You've got to look for hints and clues in order for you to better understand what is going on and how you extract answers in order to interpret and better analyze the type of land uses from settlement geography and apply it on a topographical map. I'm going to go to the next question, and finally we've come to the challenge question. But let's look at what Toboko and Beth have got as answers. Toboko, what did you get?
33, 26,
26.
AC.
AC. Beth, what did you get?
Can I have a minute to
Yes, I'm going to give you a minute to calculate it, and now I'm going to work it out with you guys. So we've got 3325 DC. So note the following. When I do this particular calculation, I've got to draw 2 lines of latitude and 2 lines of longitude. Note, the first 2 numbers or first 2 numerical values are my latitude. So that's 33. That obviously means that the next line of latitude is 34. My next 2 values are 25. So my first line of longitude is 25, followed by 26. Now note, where these 2 lines intersect, I will draw my grid pattern. And further to that, that's block A, B, C, D. In this particular example, we are working with alphanumeric grid DC. And that means that we further divide these blocks into A, B, C, D. And DC is this particular map here. In order to find the map to the south, we have to go down. How are we doing there? Beth, have you got an answer?
Yeah, I
Give me
think
the answer you've
it's
got.
34,
34,
25,
25.
D. No, it's not going to be D.
It's not going to be D.
B,
B,
BA.
BA.
Yes.
Let's look if Beth or Toboko, the challenge is on. And when you look at the answers here, remember, we've moved on to the next line of latitude. We break that up. That is A, that is B. We break B up further, and this is A, B, C, D. So my correct answer, guys, is going to be 34, 25, B, A. And when I look at my answer, I'm going to give it to Toboko. I think Looney.
No,
Yay!
that's mine.
Beth, Beth.
That's mine.
Girl power, what are you talking about?
Toboko's let me down.
That's
You
mine.
know, it's a men's world.
Again,
girl
prove
power.
that this is a woman's world.
No,
Of
it's a
course,
men's world.
you just
Yes,
live in it.
girl
Men's
power.
Let's
Yes.
not forget who's teaching, guys.
Yeah.
No,
And
let's not forget
So,
we got it right.
Yes.
Okay,
But it's a men's world.
guys, Toboko's won the challenge today. Well done.
No, what are you?
No,
No,
Beth.
no.
Oh.
Beth,
Is it
Beth.
Thank
Girls.
you, Looney. Thank you. Thank
Don't
you.
now be biased because you're a man.
Thank
Beth,
She's not biased.
Girl
She's
power.
not biased.
The next time, I will make sure that 2 boys.
That's not gonna
So,
happen.
let's see what we've learned today, guys. We've come into contact with settlement geography, and we've also done topographical maps. The key aspects of this lesson were in order for you to understand how we apply the knowledge that we gather from a map to theoretical concepts. And in order to do this, the key aspect is when you're studying for your paper 1, you've got to remember the concepts for paper 2, especially when it comes to settlement geography. What we've done today is identified areas of land use, and the land use zones, the land use in a particular area, in an urban settlement as well as a rural settlement, is reflected on your topographical maps. When you study topographical maps, make sure you use as many and practice as many questions as possible. This would help you better understand the concepts of what we're trying to achieve, which is the analysis and interpretation of topographical maps. How are we doing, Looney?
we have one question here
Yeah.
from Precious Wabudi. Can you please repeat question 11?
Question 11. Let's go back for Precious on question 11. And we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Again, just for Precious, Pistorius Rust. Identify the functional land use at Pistorius Rust in D4. Precious, note the following. We've got Pistorius Rust, and here is a commercial farm. Toboko, tell them why. Tell Precious why it's a commercial farm.
It's a commercial farm because it is given a name.
Do you agree, Beth?
Yes, but I can add something.
Yes.
We have abundance of reservoirs and windmills, meaning that, and it has a larger space, so it is a commercial farming.
Excellent. Well done, guys. Remember the following. It's given a name, it has access to the water resources, and these types of water resources are given especially during the dry season. Precious, I hope you've understood that one. Are there any more, Looney?
No.
No. Well done, guys. I'm going to hand over to Boko as well as Beth to help give us some inputs now.
Today was a great show. I enjoyed myself, even though it was my first time live on television. But it's a great honor to be here,
Okay, excellent.
and I've learned so much.
It was fun, and thank you for inviting us here, and thank you to my geography teacher for teaching me everything that I know. If it weren't for him, I'd know nothing about geography.
Can I
Okay,
add something?
Toboko.
And to all the DBN geography teachers, I would like to thank you all.
Well
And
done,
to all my
guys.
classmates,
Oh, I almost
Shout out
forgot
to you
about
guys.
them. Classmates and family, thank you for watching.
Excellent.
shout out
Guys,
to you guys.
guys in Esokwazi, guys in the Vaal region, guys throughout South Africa, remember, when you write paper 2 geography, you now should have no excuses when it comes to interpretation as well as analysis on a map. And with that, best of luck for your June exams, and I know you're going to put in these hard hours to make sure you get the best possible result. Remember, practice, practice, practice. Looney?
All right. Thank you, Cameron, for the great show, guys. Thank you so much. You guys are
Thank
so
you,
clever.
Lily.
So proud of you. Well done, Beth, for giving
Thank
that
you,
challenge
Beth.
question, right? Mindsetters at home, thank you so much for tuning in. All the best for your exams. We hope you guys write well and you study very hard, because we want straight A's, right, on your reports. And Mindsetters, don't forget, this show is proudly brought to you by Macmillan. So thank you so much to Macmillan for bringing us a great show. And with that said, until we see you very soon, goodbye from us.